Hi everyone, my name is Herb Kim. I'm the founder and the director of Thinking Digital. And I'm really happy to have with us a guest, Adam Bank, who are sponsoring the live stream. And we've got Leigh Peacock-Goodwin, who's a marketing manager there and has very thankfully joined us today to tell us a little bit more about Adam and hopefully a little bit about yourself as well.
Of course.
So should we start with Adam? Because it's obviously the, if you will, the new kid on the block.
Yeah.
And it's still developing and things like that. So tell us a little bit about Adam Bank.
So I was quite lucky enough to be employee 31.
Wow.
For now there's just over 300, so right in there at the beginning.
Yeah.
So just
what year was that?
That was 20, so I joined in 2015.
Okay.
So Atom kind of started or was founded by AT, or Anthony Thompson, our chairman, and Mark Mullen, our CEO, in around 2014.
Okay, great.
So busy building kind of things to get to a launch for our first version of our app last year. So we've been trading, we just had our birthday, so first year of the app, which was at the beginning of April. So based up in the northeast, a real kind of intention for us to be based up here. Okay. Obviously there's the point that it's kind of cheaper in terms of being out central London, but also it's more of a positioning in terms of getting ourselves out of the city where everyone assumes that kind of banks are, and that's kind of that kind of culture, and really separating ourselves, and also just pointing out the fact that there is great talent everywhere around the country, not just centred in London. So it's been a really, really exciting journey. Lots of ups, lots of downs as you would do with a startup, but such a great culture that we've kind of got going there. So we're out the door with fixed saver products, a deposit product, and then 2 lending, so mortgages and businesses through kind of intermediated lending. So yeah, a really, really exciting time for us.
Great. So, and what distinguishes Adam from a regular bank? So Barclays versus Adam. What's the difference in terms of the kind of experience that you guys are building?
I think for me it falls into kind of 2 camps. I think culturally we're really, really different, and I think that is internal as well as external. So there's a real importance in terms of making sure kind of there's a good work-life balance. There's ideas can come from anywhere. Everyone can get involved in everything, and there's that real sense of we're doing something with a purpose. But then there's also that side that's more around the business and how it runs. So we don't have a branch network. Okay. So that means we don't have that expenditure, which means we can kind of invest it in offering better rates and better products for customers. And then there's also probably just our positioning. So it's in terms of making sure that we are completely transparent, we're honest and really open with customers. And I think the big thing for us is making sure that we build the bank from the customer out. Okay. So it's building from, and that's both from what we think they need, but also listening to what they need, their feedback, and then just building kind of on from there.
Oh, that's great. So, and that's been your experience thus far. That if you guys are living those values in the sense of the customer is at the center of what you guys are trying to do, versus in other cultures, let's say typically profit is going to be oftentimes the central bit with a bit of customer focus around the side.
But of course, I think the word profit is often comes as a dirty word. Of course, we need to be profitable, and we need to be seen to making money because we have 2 audiences. Obviously, our investors, that we need to make sure that we are a good investment for them, but importantly, make sure that we are good for our customers. So I think the positioning for us, and it's a purpose that we have that's part of our kind of brand architecture, is helping to redefine the everyday relationship between people and their money. Okay. And that's a really, really important thing for us because we felt, and this is a difference from us and existing banks, is the fact that people are quite distant from something that's so emotive and emotional, their money. Yeah. And there's such bad kind of relationships with it. So for example, some research we've done ongoing, but at least about a year ago, is the fact that a big percentage of millennials at the moment only know that they're just about to go into the overdraft or over the overdraft when they go to pay for something and it's declined. Right. 50% of people don't know their credit score. So there's all these kind of behaviours that we need to kind of readdress as part of the journey that we're going on.
Interesting. Now, recently, you guys, there was a bit of splash of news of having Will.i.am, being involved. Is he actually going to join the board? Is that right?
Yeah, he's a board advisor, and it's really, we want to make sure, and that that's a job for obviously in the marketing team and with the PR guys to make sure it's positioned in the right way, because he's not someone that we've just bought as a mouthpiece. He's actually a strategic advisor. He's got this incredible kind of background of tech, innovation, and a really great way of thinking about the future of things. So he's come on board as a strategic advisor to the board, not not someone that we just say, can you say this, can you say that? Right, okay. So as a real key part of us, yeah.
Well, that's great to hear. Now you guys are live in the market, but I know it's in a limited capacity at the moment. When is Adam, if you will, the fully fledged Adam offer going to be in the marketplace?
So probably can't tell you exactly when, but I think the positioning that we'd like to say is there's often this view that you're not a real bank until you've got a current account, but we're making sure that kind of we are just getting brilliant at running the bank that we have currently. So bringing money in and lending out properly, and making sure that the customer service, the app, and everything that we have is as it needs to be. In terms of what goes on in the future, that we always keep an eye on in terms of potential market changes and you kind of when we think's right for a current account and the other things that happen. So there's no definite date on it, but it kind of is going to be in plan.
Okay, cool. And we can switch gears a little bit and just talk a little bit about your journey. If I remember correctly, you were originally from Bristol, is that right?
Yes, yeah, from Bristol, yeah.
And then you were living the high life in the London ad world. So what brought you from that lifestyle, that sort of that career to Durham?
Really, as you probably said, the high life possibly in terms of experience, not necessarily in terms of the extortionate rents we were paying, but it's another point. But really enjoyed worked on some great brands. But for me, I was getting to a point where I was thinking, as working at an agency, I'm at the end of a process, I'm at the end of a brief where things have been decided, all the interesting thinking and doing are happening somewhere, and at the end we're getting a brief to create something. I really wanted to get integrated into the business at the heart of it, which is why I wanted to become part of it or in a marketing department. So it sounds quite cliched, but I was having a look around.
Yeah, it's fair.
And outside of London, and I spotted something just on. I think it was like a Monday morning. I was doing a troll through Reed, and I saw this thing about just Atom Bank and a really kind of general role, but then a really specific and considered kind of reason to believe, to use an ad phrase, in terms of what they were planning on doing, and I looked at it and thought that's what I want to do.
Wow, fantastic.
So I got in contact, had a interview a couple of weeks later, and lucky enough to get it, and that was 2 and a bit years ago. So
and how are you finding life in the Northeast? I mean, that's got to be a big change for you. And are you married, right?
Yes, I am married. Yes, and my wife is from the Northeast, so she's from Durham.
That's convenient.
That was it was very convenient. Feel quite lucky actually in that sense. But I think you have this thing, especially when I was leaving London, you have this thing of people going, you're moving up north, you're moving away from London, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
And London does have, it's a great place to be. It's, I'd recommend anyone to live there, but there's so many great things happening everywhere else. So, my hometown in Bristol, Manchester, everything's starting to kind of move out of there, and there is the skill set, as I mentioned earlier, and the ability and the talent everywhere. So being based in Durham, it's a wonderful place, beautiful place to be in. You're just down the road from Newcastle.
Indeed, yeah.
You can get to York, it's great in that way, but it's just what we've got going in Durham is really, really good. Really
fantastic. Good. So we've, for folks like myself, I've been in the Northeast since 2002, and I've been doing this kind of work and wanting to kind of promote and encourage the growth of the digital sector.
Yeah.
And the kind of stock phrase we always used to use is that ultimately we'd love to see another Sage, as in the Sage Group, grow up here in the North. And to some extent, arguably, Atom is the first prospect that kind of feels like it's got that kind of potential. Is that the kind of scale that you guys are thinking about in terms of the future of Atom? I mean, not about unicorns and things like that, but just something that's really got the potential to make that level of impact?
We definitely believe so. It's again, kind of, don't want to talk too many cliches, but we want to get to a point where, in the same way that Uber, Spotify, and Airbnb, people look at them and said, how have I survived, or how have I lived without that? That's the space we want to get into from banking. So from a positional perspective, completely, we want to be as big and make as big an impact as we can, but in the right way and for the right reasons. So, if the benchmark is, the impact that Sage have made in the Northeast, you could say, yes, if we are able to achieve all that we want to achieve, then kind of that's the kind of size. If the benchmark is the ambition and the drive to get somewhere, then yeah, completely.
Great, Leigh. Thank you so much for your time.
Well,
really appreciate that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Great, everyone. That was Leigh Peacock-Goodwin from Atom Bank, and thanks for joining us.